Well, she claims that Milton Friedman was constantly waiting for and hoping for different shocks to societies, crises, catastrophes, could be natural disasters, or it could be a military coup or a war, and then really take advantage of the fact that people they weren't on their guard, they couldn't resist rapid economic liberalization, shock therapy, liberalization of trade and prices and so on. And she does this with a quote from Milton Friedman, which she really thinks is the shock doctrine, where he says that, yeah, real change comes after a crisis. And she pretends that this crisis that he thinks of is something like a disaster, a coup or something like that. In the short film that accompanies her book, she even shows that, quote, over images of prisoners being tortured to pretend that this is what Milton Friedman wanted. Well, the quote is taken out of context. If you look at the real quote, what Milton Friedman says is that when ideas lead to bad consequences, people begin to look for other ideas. So he looks, for example, in that context at how the Soviet Union, the communist economies, they failed miserably. They only produced poverty, misery, and oppression. And when that happened, people began to look for other ideas. Not very controversial, not very strange, but she takes it out of context to pretend that he wanted to oppose some sort of crisis from the outside. This kind of distortion is something that Naomi Klein does throughout the book, in every instance. She pretends that Milton Friedman was the person that inspired the Iraq invasion, for example, and failing to mention that Milton Friedman was actually opposed to the invasion of Iraq. I mean, it couldn't be for a lack of space. She's got 500 pages, but she sort of doesn't want to remind the reader of that. She pretends that he supported the IMF policies in Asia that failed there, whereas the real story was that Milton Friedman opposed not just IMF's actions in Asia and claimed that they led to poverty, but also opposed the IMF generally. So this is what she does. She takes advantage of the fact that few people know exactly what Milton Friedman said and did to paint this distorted image of a brutal, vicious person who put ideas before people.